Before we start the movie, don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss any of our new content. This is the story of Isabel, a 16-year-old girl. We learn that she is on a trip with her family, spending a few days at their seaside home. Isabel is sitting on the beach, enjoying the weather, when her younger brother, Victor, arrives to tell her that Felix, a young man she recently met, visited their house and asked about her. Isabel feels frustrated because she didn't want her family to know anything about him. So, she decides to lie and say that he is just a classmate, even though they are actually dating. It seems she is used to confiding in Victor and asks him to lie as well. The two return home, where Isabel's family, her mother, Sylvia, her stepfather, Patrick, and her younger brother, Victor, are gathered. They have invited their friends Peter and Vero, who have 3 children. After lunch, Sylvia talks to her daughter to understand the nature of her relationship with Felix, wanting to ensure he is a good match for her. She suggests inviting him over for dinner, but Isabel refuses and leaves for her room. It becomes clear that their relationship is tense. Later, Isabel and Victor return to the beach, where she meets Felix again. We learn that he is from Germany and is visiting while walking along the shore with a friend. Felix mentions that they are going out that night for some fun and invites Isabel to join them. She agrees. At night, Isabel gets ready to go out and asks Victor to stay downstairs with the family and lie, saying she is asleep in her room. She sneaks out unnoticed and meets Felix. They begin talking about themselves, and it becomes clear that he is attracted to her. At the end of the night, Isabel returns home to find Victor waiting for her. She tells him what happened and makes him promise not to say anything to their mother. The next day, Isabel is sitting on the beach with her family when Felix arrives and asks if he can join them. She agrees, but it's clear that she is ignoring him and doesn't want to continue their relationship. She gets up and walks away toward the sea. That night, her family surprises her with a party to celebrate her 17th birthday, but she doesn't seem happy. The following day, as they prepare to return home, Isabel leaves without even saying goodbye to Felix. Sometime later, we see Isabel has become an escort. She has a profile on a dating site where she calls herself Leah, and claims to be 20 years old, even though she is still underage and not legally allowed to do this kind of work. One day, she receives a message from a client named George, who wants to meet her at a hotel. She agrees and is surprised to find that he is an older man, but she doesn't object. That night, she returns home and hides the money she earned in her closet. It turns out she has been saving a significant amount of money in this secret spot so that her family doesn't find out. On that day, a woman named Mona, who regularly helps around the house and tutors Victor, is there. As soon as Isabel arrives home, Mona finishes her work, says goodbye, and leaves. Later, Isabel continues living her life normally, keeping her job a secret. The next day, she goes to school and meets her friend Claire, who seems glued to her phone. Isabel finds this unusual and assumes Claire has a boyfriend. She is afraid to tell Claire about her real job, so she lies and says she is in a relationship with a lawyer who is 32 years old. At night, Isabel prepares to go out and lies to her family, saying she is meeting Claire, but she is actually heading to work. It turns out she has a routine of changing her clothes in a public restroom before meeting clients. When she arrives at her appointment, the client immediately suspects that she is underage and laughs at her, refusing to pay the full amount. When she protests, he threatens to tell her family, forcing her to accept the lower payment. From then on, Isabel starts demanding payment up front to avoid being tricked again. One day, Sylvia asks Isabel to join the family for a theater outing. Although she doesn't want to go, she has no choice but to agree. During the intermission, Isabel is standing alone when she spots George with another young woman. She pretends not to recognize him to avoid suspicion from her family. When George sees her, he becomes nervous and quickly leaves with the girl. As the second half of the play begins, Isabel receives a message from George asking to meet again at the same place. She goes to him, and it becomes clear that George has grown attached to her. He asks if she likes the theater, and she responds that she only came because her mother insisted. Their meetings continue for a while. One day, George decides to open up about himself and admits that he has been a bad and neglectful father to his daughter. We learn that the girl who was with him at the theater is actually his daughter. It becomes clear that George regrets neglecting her all these years, so he has recently been trying to make up for it by taking her out to various places. He also mentions that his relationship with his wife is strained and that he is trying to fix it. When Isabel is asked about her relationship with her father, she changes the subject, showing that she does not like talking about him. That day, George suddenly dies while he is with her. Isabel tries to save him but fails. She appears terrified, quickly gathers her belongings, and leaves before anyone finds out what happened. She returns home and continues living her life as usual. After some time, the police visit Sylvia at her office after investigating George's death and discovering everything about Isabel. They inform Sylvia that her daughter works as an escort under the name Leah, shocking Sylvia, who refuses to believe the truth. The investigator reassures her that there is no suspicion of murder and that Isabel is merely a witness. However, their main concern now is whether she is working by choice or under an organization. The police accompany Sylvia to her home to search Isabel's computer, and they find that she is working of her own free will. While searching her room, they also discover the money she has been saving. That day, Mona is present with them, and both she and Sylvia are in disbelief that Isabel managed to deceive them all. At that moment, Isabel returns from school with Claire. Claire mentions that one of their classmates is throwing a party and invites Isabel to come with her and bring the guy she is dating. Isabel replies that they have broken up. As they arrive at Isabel's house, they see Mona leaving, making Isabel suspicious that she is hiding something. When she enters the house, she is shocked to find her mother waiting for her and confronting her with what she has learned. Without thinking, Sylvia starts hitting her, but she soon realizes what she has done and apologizes. Strangely, Isabel does not react or even try to defend herself. Her mother orders her to stay away from this path. From then on, they try to act normally, and it is clear that Sylvia is making an effort to get closer to her daughter, forcing her to attend all social events. At night, Sylvia and Patrick sit alone, and Sylvia blames herself for her daughter's mistake. Patrick comforts her, saying it is not her fault and that the important thing now is to ensure Isabel had no involvement in George's death. He suggests sending Isabel to live with her father for a while, hoping it might influence her behavior, but Sylvia completely refuses, seeing him as a neglectful father. The next day, Isabel has an appointment with the police for questioning. She admits that she met George on her way to school. He was interested in her, but she ignored him, so he gave her his number in case she changed her mind. Isabel confesses that she was the one who called him a week later to meet, and since then, she started working as an escort, using a different name and phone number to remain anonymous. It is revealed that George had heart problems. Isabel admits that she did not know this and only saw him taking medication without understanding why. It becomes evident that Isabel also had feelings for him, which is why she decided to quit her job after his death. Since then, she has been deeply affected. At the end of the interview, the investigator informs her that the money found in her room will go to her mother since she is still a minor. One day, Sylvia suggests that her daughter see a psychologist. When Isabel refuses, claiming she is not sick, Sylvia threatens to have her admitted to a psychiatric hospital. Patrick intervenes and advises Isabel to go with her mother, assuring her that she has nothing to lose. Isabel is forced to agree. The next day, they visit the psychologist. Sylvia begins speaking and expresses her disbelief that her daughter turned to such a path despite being provided with everything she ever wanted. The psychologist asks about Isabel's relationship with her father, and Sylvia explains that she and her husband divorced 7 years ago. He lives in Italy, and the children visit him during vacations. Then, Isabel speaks, saying that her relationship with her father is normal and that she never felt his absence. However, the psychologist senses from her words that she does not like talking about her father and that his absence has had an impact on her. He schedules individual sessions with Isabel for the future. Isabel returns home, where Patrick is watching TV late at night. He takes the opportunity to talk to her and urges her to get closer to her mother and be honest about why she has been acting this way. At that moment, Sylvia wakes up and overhears their conversation. She orders Isabel to go to her room. Afterward, Sylvia talks to Patrick, who suggests sending Isabel to a boarding school, but Sylvia says she is still not ready to make a decision. Later, she speaks with her daughter and proposes a trip to London, just the two of them, for relaxation. Isabel refuses, frustrating Sylvia, who cannot understand her behavior. She asks Isabel about her therapy sessions, but as always, Isabel refuses to share any details, saying they are just regular sessions with no real benefit. One day, during a session with the psychologist, Isabel begins to talk about George. She admits that she had feelings for him, which is why she decided to stop working after his death. She also says she feels guilty. On another day at school, Isabel sees Claire sitting alone and crying. When she asks what is wrong, Claire says that the guy she is dating has not responded to her for a while. Isabel comforts her and then changes the subject, reminding her of their friend's upcoming party. Although Isabel is not used to such events, she decides to go so that Claire will not be alone. At the party, Isabel meets her classmate Alex, who confesses that he has liked her for a long time. They spend the night dancing and having fun. After a while, Isabel decides to introduce him to her family. The next morning, Alex joins them for breakfast, and her family seems to like him. Strangely, after breakfast, Isabel sits down with him and suddenly tells him that she wants to break up without giving any explanation. It is clear that she struggles to maintain a normal relationship. When he insists on knowing why, she confesses that she does not love him. He is hurt by her words and leaves. Sometime later, Isabel feels curious and reactivates her old phone number to check her messages. She is surprised to find a message from someone urgently asking to meet her. When she goes to the meeting, she discovers that it is George's wife. The woman explains that she found Isabel's number in George's belongings and wanted to meet the girl he was with when he died. It is clear that she has not forgiven him for his betrayal. She also asks to see the room where George and Isabel used to meet. Deeply emotional, the two women sit in the room and reminisce about George. And that's how the movie ends. If you enjoyed the film, don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss any of our new content.